What's up, everyone? We are back here on the Giles and Goalie Podcast YouTube channel. It is the off-season. I am stoked, but I am also way more stoked that this guy right here over my shoulder just won the Stanley Cup. Finally, you can look forward to Ben with his weekly wager for losing the Stanley Cup final bet on the next podcast. I am also excited for that. But, wow, it is wonderful. But that is not why we are here. We're doing a mailbag. We're going to try this out here for the next few weeks here in the off season. Just try something here to maybe save us a little bit of time on the podcast. So I'll take some questions, throw it out here on the YouTube channel, and away we go. So with that said, I threw the question out on Twitter a couple days ago. And so we will get the offseason officially started with some mailbag questions as Paul Fenn, new Minnesota Wild general manager, on the clock here, hopefully can work some magic for the Wild fans and tweak the roster, as he so said many times in his introductory press conference. First question from Patrick Gage. Asks about, Russo mentioned Justin Falk a couple times. What about Jeff Skinner from Carolina? Obviously, the Carolina Hurricanes open for business. They got some nice pieces there, but with new ownership, and they are looking to probably not spend money. As we all know well by now, I would imagine Carolina is looking for future assets, whether that's draft picks or prospects. I don't see them taking back salary in return for Minnesota. So acquiring Justin Falk, who I would really only see the Wild getting if they moved on from a defenseman. It's hard to see them getting Justin Falk in any other scenario. And then Jeff Skinner, I am intrigued by Jeff Skinner. He's actually had pretty decent production for playing in Carolina, but again, I can't see Paul Fenn moving on from his first-round pick, and I can't imagine Paul Fenn moving on from what few top-tier prospects he had to acquire Jeff Skinner. So I just don't see that working out for the Wild. As much as we would like to maybe see them swing some kind of a deal, I just don't see that happening at all. So next question from Douglas, Alberta. Is there any way we can free up space from Parisian Suitors contract? No, that is something that we need to just plaster it on Twitter. It needs to be everyone's pinned tweet for like the entirety of the offseason. You cannot restructure money in the NHL. This is not the NFL. NHL contracts are fully guaranteed, so once it is signed, you are going to get that amount forever. So, no, Parisian Suitor are going to make $7.5 million on the books for the next 50 years still. So, sorry about it. From David, NCAA-style bracket, who on the team could eat the most chicken wings? This one I did put a lot of thought into, but I have to go with Charlie Coyle. I feel like for as much crap as we give him on the ice, he would just bulldoze his way to the chicken wing title. I'm also going to throw Niederreiter in there. He'll give Coyle a good run for the money, but Charlie Coyle will be the champion in that bracket. From Dave Johnson, what tweaks would you make? Well, simply put, as we just talked about, Charlie Coyle eating the most chicken wings. Charlie Coyle will be a player I would try to start moving. It's really going to be a sell low. Sorry, my hair's all over. Charlie Coyle will be where I would start, but it would really be a sell low kind of a mentality for Paul Fenn, especially with Coyle coming off double wrist surgery. I can't see him getting a decent haul. He could be part of a package for another player, but moving Charlie Coyle for just something else alone, probably not realistic. But defense, I don't want to hear Matt Dumba's name thrown out there. I know it will, because he'll probably get the most attention, but I can't fathom why you would want to trade a 23-year-old right-handed shot defenseman who just put up 50 points. I don't get it. Right-hand defensemen who can do that don't grow on trees. So even if they can get you the most return, I just don't get why you would do that. That's not the tweak I would make. But then again, like I said earlier, if you're maybe going to get Justin Falk coming back, then sure, why not? But I wouldn't. Let's see. The other from Dave Johnson, the follow-up with your tweaks. What players would you target from other teams? Well, we kind of talked about Carolina. It's so tough to try and pick what players could be available on other teams. And first of all, Paul Fenn, please stay away from the phone that only dials to the Buffalo Sabres general manager's office. I think we've hit that well one too many times. So I would try to maybe stay away from the Sabres in any more kind of trades. Unless it's Jack Eichel, then I'm all for it. But I don't see that happening. I think Carolina probably is a really easy target. And maybe there's a few other players in there you can maybe nab. But I don't know. It's silly season. Maybe Alex Galchenyuk of the Canadiens. I'm kind of big on him. I was last season when the Wild were maybe interested in him. So that would be something I would look at. And just put Galchenyuk somewhere. Something he's had a problem with in Montreal is he's been all over the place. Wing, center, wing. So you would hope he would come here, fresh start, and just put him at one position, and away you go. So that would maybe be my vote. And Mark Bergevin seemed to be enamored with Charlie Coyle last year, but we'll see what happens this time. So from Alec, with Fenton trying to get a more family-based operation, what is your favorite family-related memory growing up as a hockey fanatic? This is a fantastic question. I had to put a lot of thought into this, but I'm still thinking about it. It's, in all honesty, it's just sitting with my grandfather watching hockey. That's really how I learned the sport. And I think I've said it a few times on the Giles and the Goalie Podcast that my grandfather was a hockey coach, and he was no different with me. And watching hockey on ESPN2 back in the day is a favorite memory of mine. And it was usually something along the lines of the Detroit Red Wings against St. Louis or Colorado, or the New York Rangers got mixed in occasionally because they're the New York Rangers. But that is definitely my favorite memory. There's a lot of them up there, but that just takes the cake. I'll toss in watching hockey with him with a bowl of ice cream. So there you go. From John Nomlin, I hope I'm saying that right. Consider packaging Granlund with Ennis in a deal rather than another buyout. Well, I'm very intrigued by tossing in Tyler Ennis to any kind of a trade to not take on a buyout, as Chuck Fletcher, the old general manager, loved to have a buyout on the books, but I just don't see how you get someone to take Tyler Ennis unless you're sending back Mikael Granlund. And I just don't know if I want to do that. Excuse me. I guess you have to make the tweaks somewhere. And Granlund certainly would have a lot of value out there. And if you can maybe get a goal scorer as part of that package, then sure, why not? But, it's really interesting to see what tweaks are had. I don't know. That's why they're making the money and I'm not. But this team just cries of it needs more than just tweaks. And as I said in our zone coverage roundtable on Thursday, making tweaks to the roster could take more than just 1 year. you make a few moves this offseason, and then you make some more next offseason, and maybe you miss the playoffs this year, and then the changes you make the next offseason kind of follow up to that, and then maybe you're a better team. But I would wise caution here to Wild fans that maybe not making the playoffs this next year for the sake of retooling the roster and having another extended playoff run following that might be for the better. But, again, we'll see. From DFZ, why does Bruce Boudreau get off so light with the lack of playoff success? Well, pretty simple. It comes down to just weird luck in the playoffs, and Bruce Boudreau has had none. And any team that wins the Stanley Cup, you have to get lucky at some point. And the Washington Capitals are a great example of not getting luck at certain points in the playoffs. And we saw luck go in their favor, especially in the Stanley Cup final. How many times did Vegas miss an empty net to score a goal to tie or take the lead, or hit the post, as Alex Tuck did? You just have to have a little bit of luck sometimes, and Bruce Boudreau hasn't. And maybe also, as we're maybe kind of learning, he doesn't make many adjustments in the postseason. In the Jets series, he just really, to me, just kind of threw his hands up when it came to shaking up lines or anything like that to try to get something going against the Jets, who were just running over the Wild, and he really didn't. But then again, he probably just saw that it was going to be a short series anyway, so why the hell bother? And then last question from Andrew Woodward, Andrew Woodard. I will get that right. Friend of the show, longtime follower. What will be the first roster move made by Paul Fenton? I got to imagine it's going to be the buyout of Tyler Ennis, as the Stanley Cup final has ended. There is now 48 hours until the buyout window opens, which I think is for just a short period of time. So I would imagine Tyler Ennis will be the first roster move that he makes to buy him out. I think it's a $2.1 million cap hit for the Wild this upcoming season, and then it's like a $1.2 million cap hit the following year, if I remember that correctly. I'd look it up on Cap Friendly, but their servers are down for some maintenance right now. So there you go. So that is it for the mailbag this week. We're going to do this again next week, probably a little closer to the middle of the week, but did this here late Thursday, early into Friday, just to follow up the Stanley Cup final and get that out there to mark the beginning of the offseason. But we will put the question out there on Twitter again, middle of the week. Follow me on Twitter at Giles Farrell. And we will also have a podcast upcoming Sunday. We have 5 podcasts are left before Ben and I take a wonderful 2-month break. Actually, I think it's longer. I think we're going to stretch it to 2.5 months because somebody's getting married. What an idiot. I'm just kidding. I love Roz. So we are going to try to have a guest at least on every show. One guest every show. The next podcast here recording on Sunday, we're going to have a couple of guests for you. So do look forward to that. If you do not already, please follow the Giles and the Goalie Podcast on whatever podcast platform you listen to it on. If you listen on iTunes, please download, give us a rating. SoundCloud, download, all that. And if you love the show, please tell a friend. We need all the help we can get, and download, subscriptions, boost the ratings. Also, do check out zonecoverage.com/subscribe if you do love our work. We have a lot of wonderful writers and podcasters at Zone Coverage that could use the support in addition to Ben and myself, so do check that out. So that will wrap it up for me, and we will chat with you again next week. Later.